Well, I'm Ann. I'm Ford's wife. I'm Jerry's only daughter-in-law. I've been following Ford for 36 years, but it's only because his legs are a lot longer than mine. And I'm here to talk about my relationship with my mother-in-law. You know, most mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships are a little tense. They're a little distant. They have hints maybe of some resentment or jealousy because after all, the daughter-in-law has taken away the favored son. But my relationship with Jerry was absolutely nothing like that at all. We really respected each other. We admired each other. We genuinely liked each other. Really, we loved each other. And we became, over 36 years or more, close friends. You know, as Ford said, she was more the extrovert and the social one, and I probably, in our couple, am probably more the extrovert and the social one. And so Jerry and I would talk a lot. I remember we had only been married about a little over a year. We were in the car, driving to New York to see the grandparents, and Freddie was driving, and Ford was in the front seat, and I was in the back seat with Jerry. And she poked me in the arm, and she goes, "Does he talk to you? He never talked to us." I said, "Well, don't worry, I'm here and I will talk to you." And that started our routine. Every time we were in a car together, first it would be Freddie driving, and then with Ford in the front, and Jerry and I in the back chatting. And then after Freddie died, and my motion sickness kind of kicked in, I'd be the one driving. We'd stick Ford in the back so he could sleep or read, and we'd put Jerry next to me so we could chat. Well, so I remember being at a dinner with about 10 other women friends. This is about 15 years ago in Denver. And all these other women were complaining bitterly about their mother-in-laws, and they really didn't like them. Everyone was complaining except me. And I said, "I really like my mother-in-law." And they said, "Well, how come you like your mother-in-law so much?" I said, "Well, there's a lot of reasons, but one, she did not spoil her son, my husband, Ford. I would say Jerry was a pioneer feminist, long before the word feminism was ever in our vocabulary. And she didn't do that as a politically conscious choice. She just came to it naturally. So Ford tells me that when he was in high school and he decided he would look really dapper if he was wearing Brooks Brothers 100% cotton shirts, his mother said, "Fine. You want to wear those? You iron them." And to this day, Ford is a really good ironer and does ironing. But it's more than the fact that she didn't spoil Ford, which of course the wife is the beneficiary of an unspoiled man. Really, one of the main things of how I really liked her so much and didn't complain about her was, unlike most mother-in-laws, she never criticized me, and she never interfered with us. And she never tried to correct me in how I was parenting our daughters, her granddaughters. Well, fast forward a little bit, and when Freddie got sick and Jerry could never get out and shop, and we all know she was beautiful and liked looking good, we developed this routine where for every Christmas and every birthday of Jerry's and every Mother's Day, I would buy her a new article of clothing, usually something blue, so it would show off those spectacular turquoise eyes. And she loved the fact that she had a wardrobe consultant, and she was very appreciative of everything I got her. And she would call me up and she'd say, "Oh, that new blouse you bought me, I wore it to dinner last night," this is at Brookhaven, "and I got so many compliments, and I was so glad that I let her feel very pretty." And certainly, it's really easy to talk about how beautiful Jerry was with that wide grin and those big, big saucer-like turquoise eyes. But she was so much more than just a pretty face. She was really strong, as Kelly talked about. She was very self-confident. She was very witty and very charming. You know, when Freddie got that really horrible nightmarish disease, I was just so impressed with how Jerry handled it all. She accepted it all. She accepted it very stoically and yet with very much tenderness and love. And she took care of Freddie and kept him comfortable in that apartment much, much longer than I ever thought was possible. and she never once complained. That's how strong she was. And in addition to being strong, she was very smart and savvy, as Ford already talked about. I didn't really know until now that she rewrote or edited Freddie's works. But I did know this. I knew that she didn't have a college education, and that she more than held her own in that company of elite Harvard and MIT academics that they were surrounded with. And of course we know that she was the epicenter of Lexington politics for about 50 years. I remember it was 29 years ago, maybe almost to the day. We were visiting Jerry and Freddie in Lexington in January of 1983. And Ford was off in New Hampshire doing some survey work, and I was there with our newborn 2-month-old daughter. And so I was sitting in the kitchen in Tavern Lane with Jerry, and I will tell you that in the space of 90 minutes, she fielded over 20 calls. Everyone wanted to know, what did Jerry Frick think about this new hot issue in Lexington politics? The other thing a couple other things that I really admired Jerry about and was really struck by was she was not at all spoiled. She never felt entitled. She was never envious. She really never felt that the world owed her any more, but she thoroughly enjoyed the life that she had. And she raised Ford and Kelly the same way. And that's a life lesson from her that I have tried to learn from too. You know, she was very, very charming, she was very witty, and she was feisty to the bitter end. At the New England Rehabilitation Center, and this goes back to what Kelly was talking about this feisty fighting spirit from the time when she was in the hospital and came back from being the living dead. She was really desperately, valiantly trying to get to walk again. And she was strapped up with a physical therapist hanging onto her, and she was trying so hard to stand there. And we would count off the seconds and the minutes, and she really worked hard to get to stand a longer time, but it didn't work. But yet she never lost that sense of humor, because in the New England Rehabilitation Center in October, the nurse was there, and Jerry started making all these very witty wisecracks about the Red Sox meltdown. As you probably all remember, the Red Sox meltdown last September. And this nurse was clearly impressed, and she said, "My, you're a funny, feisty one at 94. And she was. Well, she used to talk about Freddie and refer to him as perfection. He was perfection, and that's the way she would put it. Well, frankly, I think Jerry was perfection. She was certainly a perfect mother-in-law, and I'll miss her. And I just want to end by saying, as Ford was talking about how these pictures of Jerry where she's staring into the camera, she would have loved knowing that she was the center of attention today from so many friends. Thank you for being here.